I want you to think about what might be the meaning of the word myth. There are two options. Option 1 is story or narrative. Option 2 is false belief. Back to myth in a little bit. I'm going to take 2 steps back and I'm going to look at the title of this series of episodes that we are going to be doing, the advent of the woman hero. Now, hero is a word we all know, but I'm going to go a little deeper there. And for this, you need to understand a little bit about one of my favorite psychiatrists. His name was Carl Gustav Jung. He did focus on one important theory, which we are going to just look at. Another big word for us, archetypes. Now, this is the hero archetype that Jung talks about, and you see this in all stories. That's the hero archetype we are kind of focusing on when we look at this series, and we are going to look at how women can fit into that hero pattern.
Hi, welcome to Soch with hSA,
where philosophy, practical theology, pedagogy, and psychiatry meet.
Dr. Praveen, what is Soch with hSA?
Soch with hSA. So, as we can see the logo, hSA stands for Health Soch Academy. Right in the center, you can see the word Soch. So, Soch is the Hindi word which means to think or thought. So, in these videos, we are going to have discussions where we are going to think on certain topics, but we are going to do it with our own unique spin for that discussion. We are going to do it through the lens of the 4 building blocks or pillars of Health Soch Academy, which is, as our tagline says, philosophy, practical theology, pedagogy, and psychiatry. So we're going to have discussions on various topics. And what's the topic for today?
Okay, we are starting a series on the advent of the woman hero. Dr. Praveen, what are the 3 topics?
Again, we like to do things in threes, as we have discussed in the previous video. So we have 3 myths, okay? And the first is the myth of the super mom. That's part 1. This video is part 1 of that. We also have second, the myth of the superwoman, and third, the myth of the disruptive woman.
Okay, again I want to say this is part 1 of the topic, the myth of the supermom, for which I'll hand over to Dr. Johan.
All right, everyone. Now we will be starting with a question, and this is how we're going to start all of the episodes in this series which is coming up. We will start with a question, give you some time to think. Remember Soch? Yeah? We'll give you some time to think. We will answer that question and have some discussion on that, and we will round it off with a time of reflection. So make sure you stay till the end of the video if you want to have the reflection, because that's a highlight. You'll get to listen to some nice music as well. That's only for those who stay all the way to the end. It's a reward for you. Right, let's go ahead with the question. And today's question is on the word myth. Now, I want you to think about what might be the meaning of the word myth as we are going to use it in this video and in the subsequent videos of this series. There are 2 options. Think about it and see. Option 1 is story or narrative. All right? Story or narrative. Option 2 is false belief. False belief. So these are the 2 options. Think about it for a couple of seconds. And now, let me ask my friends here what they think about the answer.
Okay, Dr. Johan, I'll go for option 2, which is false belief. You, Dr. Praveen?
I would disagree. I would go with option 1, story or narrative.
I think it is false belief. Isn't it, Dr. Johan?
I think it's more than false belief, because the original way when we used to use the word myth is when we want to tell that it's about a story or a narrative. So I think it's not just false belief, but
But-
that's my opinion.
Yeah, false belief because it is not a reality. It is not based on facts. So I think it is false belief. Let us hear from Dr. Johan. What is it, Dr. Johan?
All right. So thank you both for that. And I'm sure all of you are thinking along the similar lines. That was a bit of a trick question because both meanings are actually correct. If you look up the meaning of the word myth in any dictionary, you'll actually get both meanings. Now, like Praveen said, option one is actually the original meaning of the word myth. And that is what we are going to actually focus on in today's video to a large extent. But I don't want to minimize Angie's, what to say, her option of false belief. That is a more modern usage of the word myth. And it tends to be used in a very negative way in terms of, you know, the opposite of fact. These are the facts, and anything that is not factual is a myth. We often use it as the opposite of fact. Now, that is one way to use it. That's the modern usage. We are not going to be using only that. We are actually going to be pushing us to use the word myth in a more positive way, which was the original conception of the word myth. Now, I will come back to myth in a little bit. I'm going to take 2 steps back and I'm going to look at the title of this series of episodes that we are going to be doing. Now, what was the title? The grand title of this? It was The Advent of the Woman Hero, right? Now, couple of big words there, and you'll notice in all these episodes that we're going to be doing, we're going to be sort of like deconstructing the meanings of all these words and understanding them and then using them in the right way. All right. So the first of these words is the word Advent. What do you think Advent means? Advent basically means coming. We use this word a lot. When we say there's a new idea that's coming, we say this is an advent of a new idea. Christians will remember that there's a season of Advent towards the end of the year, right? When we prepare for Christmas, we prepare for the coming of Christ and that sort of thing. And Advent is used in many other ways similar to that. So that's Advent. So that's pretty straightforward. The coming. Okay. The next important word there is, the advent of the woman hero. All right. We need to spend some time on the word hero. Now, hero is a word we all know, but I'm going to go a little deeper there. And for this, you need to understand a little bit about one of my favorite psychiatrists. His name was Carl Gustav Jung. Carl Jung. Now, Carl Jung was a great Swiss psychiatrist, and he was one of those who followed Freud in the psychoanalytic tradition, but broke with Freud and later moved on with certain aspects. We don't have time to go into all of his theories right now, but he did focus on one important theory, which we're going to just look at. Another big word for us, archetypes. All right. Beautiful word. I love that word. And I'm going to kind of break up that word and look at it a bit. Arche is a Greek word meaning old or ancient or beginning or primal. All right. So it kind of, talks about very ancient old things. So arche, we use that word in archaeology and we use it in other words like that. So arche basically means old or beginning, and type means pattern. So if you put the two together, it becomes ancient or primal patterns. All right. So Jung looked at it in this way, that there are these common patterns that you see across cultures, and across time. You see these patterns, these ancient patterns in stories. You see these ancient patterns in behaviors, in certain cultural practices, and certain ways of thinking. So he called these as archetypes. And these are like things which are universally understood to be similar across time and across place. For example, you might have the archetype of a father figure. Now, we all know what a father figure is. You don't need to explain this to anyone. Or the archetype of a mother figure, or the archetype of a man, a woman, the archetype of the hero, and so on and so forth. So, we'll talk a little bit about the hero archetype. And now I think it's time for us to go back to the word myth again. So, Jung uses the word myth in a very positive way. He uses it in the original Greek sense of grand story or grand pattern. All right. So, the Greek word is mythos or muthos, which is different from the Greek word logos. So, logos generally talks about reason and logic, whereas mythos talks about story and narrative. So, these are the two ways in which knowledge can be spoken about as understood by the Greek philosophers. You can have mythos and you can have logos. All right, so we are focusing on mythos today, which is the idea of narrative and story. So, authors like C.S. Lewis and Tolkien and all these people also were very fond of using myth in this positive sense, and that's the way we are going to be using it. All right. So Jung talks about the hero in this way. Across stories from different cultures, you find that the hero is usually someone from a very insignificant background. He's, either an orphan or he's poor or some other thing. He has some kind of deficiency or defect. So he's usually like that to start with. He usually doesn't choose his story. He's usually chosen by someone else. Either there's a prophecy that kind of predicts that he's going to do something, or there's a set of circumstances that pushes him on his journey, but he doesn't usually choose that journey. So the hero is usually set off on his journey, and on the way he meets different characters who kind of help him out or give him some skills. He acquires new skills, and finally he ends up facing certain characters whom he has to defeat. Usually, characteristically, some kind of big major antagonist. You could think of it as a monster or a dragon or any other antagonist in the story. And the antagonist or the dragon is usually someone who is so difficult to defeat that the hero in his original state could not have done so. But along the way, he's acquired these skills, he's acquired these weapons and things on the way, and then he ends up defeating that antagonist and then returns home. But when he returns home, he is not the same anymore. He's changed. He's become a better person. He's acquired certain virtues and characters along the way when he returns home. Now, this is the hero archetype that Jung talks about. And you see this in all stories, the great epics of different cultures, or even the books we read today, the movies we watch, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, you name it. All of them have this pattern of the hero archetype, which is there. That's the hero archetype we are kind of focusing on when we look at this series. And we are going to look at how women can fit into that hero pattern. So that's what we are going to be looking at.
Okay, so it is not just about false beliefs, but something more positive and something more significant. Dr. Praveen, what about, are there anything more to this topic?
Interestingly, this is not the first time we have been talking about archetypes.
Yeah.
We have had a good discussion about Carl Jung and archetypes in our course, Understanding the Psyche. It's a very special course for us because it's our first live course. So we have self-paced courses, But this is our first live course. We have already finished one batch. We're running the next batch. And we had an interesting video on Carl Jung and archetypes and this whole story of hero. So that was an interesting course, understanding the psyche. It's really exciting for all of us to be part of that course. We also have some other courses where we deal about helping out, as our topic is today, for the super mom. And our flagship course, Rainbow in Deluge, Approach to Stress at School or Work. So everybody is stressed. Women are stressed too. Yes. Moms are super stressed. It's a normal experience of life. So this course deals with some strategies through our unique framework. It's a unique framework that Soch Academy has developed. It's called the Rainbow in Deluge model. It's a published work. And based on that published work, we have developed this whole course, which deals in detail with these strategies to deal with stress. It's applicable to everybody, for students and those who are doing academic work at their respective schools or academic area, and also for adults in their area of work and all. So we hope you viewers, you can check out that. And we have a special offer for the month of March in honor of International Women's Day. So our flagship course is available at rupees 600 inclusive of GST. So that's almost 1/3 of the price at which it was offered earlier. So that's one thing our viewers can look into and gain some strategies for how to deal with stress. Especially shout out to all the super moms. You're doing a great job. You are our heroes in many aspects of it. So hope this course will be able to give you some strategies to deal with stress. But that's not only that. We have also have other courses also. We have a course on psychosocial development, a theory of psychosocial development. So I'm going to ask Johan to shed some light on how theory of psychosocial development is going to help ordinary, or not ordinary, super mom.
Yeah. So the psychosocial development course focuses on how human beings, right from birth till old age, from cradle to grave, undergo various interactions with others in their environment, and how their own mind develops in response to that across different stages. So, through different challenges of life, how one navigates it. Very similar to the hero's journey we were talking about, but that's actually each of our journeys. So, that's the psychosocial development course. Yeah.
And while you're at it, I think we also have another course talking about cognitive and moral development. Again, how is that useful, or is there any use for our moms or our viewers, super moms in our viewers, to look at that course as well?
Certainly. So, the cognitive development course focuses primarily on how children learn to think at different ages of their development. And parallel to that, there's the moral development of children, how they learn to think through moral choices at different stages, and how parents can actually deal with children as they think and get through these moral choices. So, it's a great thing for moms as well.
So, viewers, we have a special Women's Day package. It's a package that includes our flagship course, Rainbow in Deluge course, which we had referred to earlier, and the psychosocial development. So, those two courses available at a very attractive price of 800 inclusive of GST. So, inclusive of GST, you can get the whole package of these two wonderful courses at 800 inclusive of GST. We also have another package which deals with understanding child development for parents and teachers. So that package contains both the psychosocial development course as well as the cognitive and moral development course. We enjoyed creating these courses, and we have heard many testimonials from teachers and parents of how learning these theories have helped them to teach well, to parent well, and to bring up their children using the learnings from these theories. So hope our viewers can look at those courses also and learn more.
All right. So, like I said earlier, there's going to be some music for you. and we want you to think about what you learned today. Think especially about the hero archetype. Think about how Jung talked about the hero archetype and how each of us actually can have a life similar to the hero archetype as we go through different stages of our life. Especially if you're a busy mom, think about all the people who helped you develop different skills throughout your life. And how that helped you to face your fears and face your difficulties at different points of your life.
Okay, Dr. Praveen, what to expect in our next video?
Yes. So as I had mentioned before, the discussion is not over with it. This is part one, and we're just getting started. Oh wow, I'm super excited to see. So in part two, we'll be dealing more with the myth of the supermom. That's the first of our myths, and we'll be dealing in depth, looking at that. But we needed to set the stage, so that's what we did with part one. So in part two, we'll continue and take up our discussion right from this point. So hope our viewers will be able to join then. So to all our viewers, thanks for joining us in this Soch with hSA.
Goodbye, viewers. We will meet again. Till then, stay healthy, stay safe.